This video is not an investment recommendation. It is purely educational content for informational purposes only. Always consult with a qualified financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Most people will work 40 hours a week for the next 40 years, trading their time for money until they cannot work anymore. But what if I told you there are 3 investments that could change that equation completely? What if I told you that within just 5 years, you could have enough passive income flowing in to replace your entire salary? That is not a fantasy. That is not luck. That is mathematics. And today, we're going to break down exactly how it works. Before we dive into the 3 investments, let me be crystal clear about something. This video is not financial advice. I am not telling you what to do with your money. What I am doing is showing you the mathematical framework that has allowed millions of people to build wealth and achieve financial independence. We are talking about strategies that are backed by decades of historical data, tested across different market conditions, and proven by real people who have built life-changing wealth. The reason most people never achieve this is not because it's impossible. It's because they don't understand the mechanism. They don't see the blueprint. Let me start by crushing 3 massive myths that are holding you back right now. Myth number 1, you need $1 million to start investing. Complete nonsense. Most of the world's wealthiest investors started with small amounts and let compound interest do the heavy lifting. Myth number 2, investing requires a lot of time and expertise. False. Some of the best investment returns come from simple, passive strategies that require almost no active management. You set it and forget it. Myth number 3, if you are under 50 years old, you have more than enough time to build serious wealth. The math proves it. Let me paint a picture. There is a man named Marcus. He is 52 years old. He makes $80,000 a year. He has been working at the same company for 23 years. He hates his job. He dreams about leaving. He imagines what it would be like to wake up without that panic in his chest, without that dread of facing another day in that office. But he feels trapped. He cannot leave because he needs the paycheck. His mortgage depends on it. His family depends on it. This is the story of over 70% of workers in developed countries. They are not pursuing their passion. They are not building something they believe in. They are simply trading time for survival. The saddest part? Most of them could have broken free if they had started 5 to 10 years earlier with a simple plan. Now let me tell you about Sarah. She is also 52. She makes $60,000 a year, but she has something Marcus does not have. Starting 15 years ago, she invested $5,000 into dividend-paying stocks. She also put $20,000 into a rental property with financing, and she spent money on her own education and business knowledge. Today, her passive income is $14,000 per month. She is not wealthy beyond measure, but she no longer needs her job. She can choose whether to work or not. The difference between Marcus and Sarah was not luck. It was not that Sarah got rich relatives or won the lottery. The difference was understanding this single concept: your money can work for you. Here is what the data shows. According to the Federal Reserve, the median American worker saves less than $1,000 per year. Less than $1,000. Meanwhile, someone who invests just $500 monthly will have accumulated $780,000 in 40 years, assuming a 7% annual return. That's not reinvesting the returns. That's not getting lucky with a particular stock. That is just basic, boring compound interest. The power is not in finding the perfect investment. The power is in starting now and being consistent. Financial independence experts call this the 4% rule. If you have $1 million invested in diversified assets, you can withdraw $40,000 per year safely, and your money should last forever. $40,000 per year from passive income. That is the goal, to build a $1 million portfolio. Most people look at that number and panic. They think it's impossible. But the math tells a different story. If you invest $10,000 a year and earn 7% annually, you will have $1 million in about 42 years. If you're 30 years old today, that means you retire at 72 with complete financial security. But if you start at 25, you're done by 67. And if you invest $15,000 per year, you're done in 35 years. Here's the brutal truth that nobody wants to hear. Starting 10 years earlier is the difference between needing to invest $5,000 a year versus needing to invest $11,000 a year to hit the same goal. That's the cost of waiting a single decade. 100 years of life is going to pass you anyway. The only question is whether you'll spend it working for someone else or living on your own terms. The first investment that can replace your job is dividend-paying stocks. Here's how it works. You buy shares of companies that pay regular dividends. Instead of hoping the stock price goes up, you're earning money just by owning the stock. The company shares its profits with you quarterly or annually. Let me give you a concrete example. You invest $50,000 into a diversified portfolio of dividend stocks with an average yield of 5%. That means you receive $2,500 per year in passive income. It doesn't sound like much, but here's the power. That money is completely passive. You didn't trade a single hour to earn it. And every year, as the company grows, that dividend payment often increases. If the company raises its dividend by 5% annually, in 10 years, you will be receiving $4,070 from that same $50,000 investment. In 20 years, $6,600. In 30 years, $10,900. I want to tell you about James. He is a technician making $70,000 per year. He has no special knowledge about stocks. He does not watch financial news. He does not trade. He simply opened an account, researched dividend stocks, and bought shares in 5 companies. Companies like Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, and Microsoft. Companies that have paid consistent dividends for decades. He invested $40,000. In the first year, he made $1,900 in dividends. In 5 years, he made $11,000 in total accumulated dividends. In 10 years, he made $28,000 in accumulated dividends. That is passive income. He did literally nothing except hold the stock. Wait, but James, what happens when the stock market crashes? This is always the first objection. People say, the market could drop 50% tomorrow. You're right, it could. Happened in 2008, happened in 2020. But here's what people miss. If the company continues to pay dividends, you still get paid. You still receive your income. And if you have a long time horizon, the stocks recover. And when they do recover, you have earned even more dividends during the crash because prices are lower and your money buys more shares. History proves this. An investor who put money in the S&P 500 during the worst times in the last 50 years still made money, still got their dividends, and still came out ahead. The people who lost money were the ones who panicked and sold. The second investment is rental real estate. This is more hands-on than dividend stocks, but the returns are powerful. Here's the concept. You buy a property, find tenants, and they pay your mortgage while you build equity. Let me break the math. You buy a property for $250,000. You put $25,000 down and finance $225,000. Your mortgage payment is $1,200 per month. Your property taxes, insurance, and maintenance total $400 per month. So your total carrying cost is $1,600 per month. You rent the property for $2,200 per month. That's $600 per month of pure cash flow, $7,200 per year. But there's more. Your tenant is paying down your mortgage. After 30 years, the property is paid off, and you're collecting $2,200 per month with almost no carrying costs. That's rent-free money. And real estate appreciates. That same $250,000 property could be worth $400,000 in 20 years. That's $150,000 in equity appreciation, plus the cash flow. David is a high school teacher. Teachers do not make a lot of money. He made $55,000 per year, but he was disciplined. He saved for 3 years and scraped together a down payment. He bought a duplex for $320,000 using an FHA loan with a lower down payment. He lived in one side and rented the other. The rental income covered most of his mortgage payment. He lived below his means. After 5 years, he had paid off $40,000 of principal. After 10 years, he owned equity of $120,000. He also had cash flow of $600 per month. At year 15, he had $200,000 in equity and $700 per month in cash flow. He bought a second property, then a third. Today, David is 52 years old. He still technically works as a teacher, but his real estate generates $40,000 per year in cash flow and equity appreciation. He no longer depends on his teaching salary.
Your next objection is probably this: I do not have money for a down payment. Fair point, but that is a limiting belief holding you back. There are multiple strategies. First, you can start saving aggressively. Second, you can partner with someone. Third, you can use creative financing like FHA loans that require only 3.5% down. Fourth, you can start with a less expensive property in a less desirable area and build from there. Fifth, you can buy a multi-unit property, live in one unit, and let tenants pay your way. This is not impossible, this is just uncomfortable. Most people prefer comfort to freedom. The third investment is business ownership. This is the most powerful, but requires the most effort. But here's the thing: once it scales, it becomes passive. You build something with intellectual property value. Maybe it's an e-commerce business. Maybe it's a software product. Maybe it's a digital course or content business. Maybe it's an agency that delivers services. The key is that you are building an asset that generates income without your direct labor. Let me show you a real-world example. Sarah created an online course teaching graphic design. She spent 3 months building it. She filmed 4 hours of content. She spent $2,000 in software and marketing. In the first year, she sold 500 courses at $67 each. That's $33,500 in revenue from 100 hours of work. In year 2, she sold 1,000 courses, $67,000 with no additional time investment. That's the power. You build something once, you sell it infinitely. Carlos is a programmer. He had a job paying $120,000 per year, but he was exhausted. In his spare time, he built a small software tool for other programmers. It solved a specific problem. He launched it as a subscription service at $9 per month. In month 1, 50 people signed up. That is $450 per month. He kept improving it. By month 12, he had 600 subscribers. That is $5,400 per month. Year 2, 2,000 subscribers, $24,000 per month. Year 3, he quit his job because the software was generating more income than his salary ever was. Today, 5 years later, he has 8,000 subscribers and generates $96,000 per month of passive income from a product he built once. He does not answer emails about this product. It runs itself. I hear this all the time. People say, I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm not creative, I'm not smart enough to build a business. Here's what I've learned. This is often an identity story, not a fact. Most successful entrepreneurs aren't geniuses. They're ordinary people who noticed a problem and solved it. They're people like you who decided to try instead of making excuses. The other thing, you don't have to build the next unicorn startup. You don't have to change the world. You just have to create something that 50, 100, or 1,000 people find valuable enough to pay for. That's business. The objection we hear most: this takes too long. Yes, it does. Financial independence is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a get-rich-sure scheme. It takes time. But here's the question: how long is your life? You're going to experience the passage of 5 years anyway. You're going to experience the passage of 10 years anyway. The question is whether those years will be spent building assets or working for someone else. 5 years from now, you could have a portfolio of dividend stocks generating thousands per month, real estate generating cash flow, and a business generating income on the side. Or you could still be exactly where you are, complaining about the same circumstances. This is the fear underneath everything. What if I fail? What if I invest and lose money? What if I buy property and it becomes a nightmare? What if I build a business and nobody buys? Fair questions. But let me flip it. What if you do nothing and miss out on 5, 10, 20 years of compound growth? What if you spend your entire working life in a job you hate? What if you reach retirement with barely anything saved? The truth is, you will be taking risk either way. The question is, which risk costs you more? Let me summarize the 3 investments that can replace your job in 5 years. First, dividend-paying stocks. Low barrier to entry, completely passive, time-tested, diversified, and proven to build wealth. Second, rental real estate. More hands-on but incredible returns, forced savings through mortgage payoff, and tangible appreciation. Third, business ownership. The highest ceiling for returns, full control over your destiny, and infinite scalability. You do not need all 3. You can start with one. You can start with dividend stocks. You can save for a property. You can build a side business. But the key is starting. Here is action step 1. Decide which of these 3 resonates with you. Do you have $3,000 to $5,000 to start with dividend stocks? Do you have access to capital for a down payment in the next 1 to 2 years? Do you have a skill you could package and sell? Choose one. Do not choose all 3 at once. That is analysis paralysis. Start with one, master that, then move to the next. Step 2. Spend 2 to 4 weeks learning the basics about your chosen investment. If it is stocks, learn about dividend aristocrats and how to pick them. If it is real estate, learn about property analysis and financing. If it is business, learn about your market and your competition. You do not need a degree. You need specific knowledge. YouTube, online courses, and books are free or cheap. Invest your time here. Step 3. Start small. Do not wait until you have the perfect plan. Do not wait until you have the most money. Open a brokerage account and buy your first dividend stock. Save for your first property down payment. Launch your first simple digital product. Start small and adjust as you go. The first action is always awkward and uncertain. That is normal. The second action is easier. The third is easier still. Step 4. Let time and compound growth do the heavy lifting. This is where most people fail. They expect results in 3 months. Financial freedom is not a 3-month project. It's a 5-year project. It's a 10-year project. But every single day your investments are working for you. Every single day you are getting closer. You are reading this or listening to this because part of you knows something has to change. That instinct is correct. Let me paint 2 different futures. In one future, you do nothing. In 25 years, you are 60 years old. You still have a job. You still trade time for money. Your lifestyle has not fundamentally changed. You have regrets about the opportunities you did not take. In the other future, you take action today. You invest consistently for the next 5 years. You build multiple income streams. By year 5, your passive income is replacing your salary. You have a choice. Work because you want to, not because you have to. Take vacations. Spend time with family. Build projects you actually care about. Help people who need you. Write your book. Start your nonprofit. The difference between these 2 futures is not talent. It is not luck. It is not intelligence. It is a decision made today. Here is your call to action. Do one thing in the next 48 hours. One thing. If you choose dividend stocks, open a brokerage account. If you choose real estate, research the property market in your area or talk to a real estate agent. If you choose business, brainstorm one product idea you could create. That's it. One action. Once you do that action, message me or post a comment saying what action you took, because taking action in public, even anonymously, increases your chances of following through by 50%. You have 5 years. That's 1,825 days. That's enough time to change everything. The question is whether you will use it. The average person dreams about being free, but does nothing about it. The average person complains about money, but refuses to learn. The average person wants financial independence, but won't take the first step. That's why the average person stays average. But you are not watching this by accident. Some part of you is ready to break free from the ordinary. Some part of you believes you deserve more. That belief is your superpower. Don't waste it. Start today. Your future self will thank you. Before you go, remember, this video is educational content only. Nothing in this video is investment advice. Past performance does not guarantee future results. All investments carry risk, including loss of principal. Consult with a qualified financial professional before making any investment decisions. Real estate and business ownership also carry significant risks and responsibilities. Do your research, understand what you're getting into, and build your wealth responsibly and legally.